Hello students, I am Ketki Bhatnagar, Assistant Professor in the Department of Mass Communication from Babu Banarsi Das University, Lucknow. This is the first video lecture series of the subject General Knowledge and Current Affairs. So here we start. The topic which I will cover here is the Constitution. That what is a Constitution? What are the features of Constitution? What is preamble? And preamble is a part of our Constitution or not? So let us start. If we talk about preamble, preamble is an introductory part or introductory paragraph or statement of our Indian Constitution, and it is a part of our Constitution, but it is not an essential part of our Indian Constitution. The preamble to the Constitution of India is a well-drafted document. It is a document which is well-drafted and states the philosophy of our Indian Constitution. It declares India to be a sovereign, secular, socialist, democratic, republic or welfare state committed to secure justice, liberty and equality for the people of India, and it also helps in promoting fraternity, dignity of the nation or of the individual and unity and integrity of the nation. The preamble is the key to the Constitution. It states in nutshell the nature of Indian state and the objective it is committed to secure for the people. Preamble has ideals and aspirations which I have discussed here, that justice, fraternity, integrity, these are the aspirations and justice which we get through the preamble or our Constitution. The preamble to the Constitution of India is a brief introductory statement. As I have told you guys, yes, it is an introductory paragraph of our Indian Constitution. It sets out guidelines which guide the people of the nation. Yes, it guides the nation and the people of the nation. And to present the principles of the Constitution, yes, it gives a brief or detail about our principles which are of our Constitution, and to indicate the source from which the document derives its authority and meaning. The hopes and aspirations, we can also call it ideals and aspirations of the people, are described in it. The preamble can be referred to as the preface, which highlight the entire Constitution. Yes, the preamble is what? It highlights that what our Constitution is all about. What are the guidelines which are mentioned in our Constitution, in our Indian Constitution. So let us move towards the next slide. The Constitution. Constitution is the supreme law of India. Yes, why? Because everyone has to go with the Constitution laws so that one can survive in a society with full peace, integrity and freedom. A constitution is a set of rules that guides how a country, a state or other political organization works. Yes, our constitution has main two aspects, that there must be balance between the government, state and political organization, and there must be balanced relationship between the government and its people or the citizens of India. Here we are talking about the Indian Constitution. Our Constitution lays down the framework, demarcating fundamental political codes, structures, procedures, powers and duties of the government, institutions, and sets out the fundamental rights of the citizens of India or the people who are living in a country. Here we are talking about the Indian Constitution. So here we will talk about the citizens of India. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar is the chief architect of our Indian Constitution. It is the lengthiest constitution in the world. Our Indian Constitution is the lengthiest one. The Constitution may tell what the branches of the government are. Yes, here we are talking about the branches of government and what powers they have and how they work. We can talk about the branches of the government, legislative, executive and judiciary. And other side, the constitution has other aspect of the citizens of India. It may also state the rights of citizens. Here we can talk about the fundamental rights which are mentioned in our Indian constitution, that are for the citizens of India, that how one can survive in a society with a peace and integrity. The constitution protects the individual freedom, as I have told you before. Yes, it protects individual privacy, freedom. Its fundamental principles govern the United States. The constitution places the government power in the hands of the citizens. Yes, we have the government, democratic country. Democratic country, that means by the people, of the people, for the people. The constitution places the government powers in the hands of the citizens. It limits the power of the government. Yes, constitution also controls the government and establishes a system of checks and balances. Yes, there are certain rules for the government also, so that no one can exploit the citizens of India, and same with the citizens also. Now we are going towards the historical background of our Indian constitution. In 1928, the All Parties Conference convened a committee in Lucknow to prepare the Constitution of India, which was known as the Nehru Report. Most of the colonial India was under British rule from 1857 to 1947. As we know that Britishers control our country 1857 to 1947. So here now we will talk about after 1947. From 1947 to 1950, the same legislation continued to be implemented, and at that time also, during 1947 to 1950, we were have security, external security from the Britishers also. They were also governing our country. The same legislation continued to be implemented, as India was a dominion of Britain for these 3 years, as each princely state was convinced by Sardar Patel and V.P. Menon to sign the article of the integration with India. And the British government continued to be responsible for the external security of the country. Somewhere we have external security from the Britishers. Thus, the Constitution of India repealed the Indian Independence Act 1947 and Government of India Act 1935 when it became effective on the date 26 January 1950. Our Indian Constitution came into force on 26 January 1950. Our Indian Constitution was adopted by the Constituent Assembly of the India on 26 January 1950. It was adopted. The Constitution replaced the Government of India Act 1935. Yes, I have discussed. It was the Act 1935 was replaced, and this Act came as the country fundamental governing document, and the dominion of India became the Republic of India. Our Indian Constitution declares India as a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, assuring its citizens justice, equality and liberty, and endeavors to promote fraternity. Here we are talking about the ideals and aspirations which we have talked about in the preamble content. The Constitution was drafted by the Constituent Assembly, as we have discussed here, which was elected by the elected members of the provincial assemblies. The 389-member assembly took almost 3 years to draft the Constitution of our India. B.R. Ambedkar was a wise constitutional expert. He had studied the constitution of about 60 countries. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, we consider him as the father of the Constitution of our India. In the Constitution Assembly, a member of the drafting committee said, "The Constitution is wholly written document which incorporates constitutional law of the India." Our Indian Constitution is a constitution made by the people of India acting through their duly elected and representative body. Our Indian Constitution is the supreme law of India. It determines the relationship of the citizens with the government. Yes, we have discussed there must be a balance between the government and its people. It lays down principles and guidelines which are required for the people belonging to different ethnic and religious groups to live in harmony. As we know that India is a country where there is a diversity but still there is unity. So here there must be a balance between the citizens and its government and between the individual society or groups so that one can live with harmony, dignity and freedom, and no one can exploit anyone and government as well. The constitution can be instrument of control. Yes, it has a power to control because it assists the government to control itself. Yes, constitution also gives rules and laws for the government so that government cannot exploit its people and helps a government. It can help by separating forces of three hands of government. That what are the three hands of government? Legislative, executive and judiciary. We will talk about executive, the three pillars of democracy. We will talk in the next video lecture series. In setting restrictions for the executive and also for the judiciary one. The Constituent Assembly. Now here we will talk about how much time our constitution took to get finalized and enactment. The Constituent Assembly took almost 3 years. Here 2 years, 11 months and 17 days to be precise to complete its historical task of drafting the constitution for independent India. During this period, it held 11 sessions covering a total of 165 days. Constitution is a document which guides the way to all the institutions of a country. Yes, it gives guidelines to all the institutions, how they have to work, how they have to control themselves. All the other laws and customs of the country must conform to it in order to be valid. Yes, they have to go with our constitution laws that whatever they are doing is valid or right or wrong. The Constitution of India was enforced on 26 January 1950, which contained 395 articles. But now this data has been changed, the articles numbers has been changed, schedules and 28 schedules it has and 22 parts. During the constitution when we were framing, when the Constituent Assembly persons were framing, the data is all about that time during 1950. 395 articles, 8 schedules and 22 parts. Now this data has been changed. The Constitution of India is the longest written constitution. Yes, our Indian Constitution is the lengthiest constitution in the world. It contains 444 articles in 22 parts. Now I was talking about the data has been changed. Now this is the latest data. Now it has 444 articles in 22 parts, 12 schedules and 124 amendments. The last amendment was in 2020, in the year 2020, with 1,46,385 words in its English language version. The term constitution comes to French from the Latin word constitution, used for regulations and orders, that there must be certain rules and regulations such as the imperial enactments. Later, the term was widely used in canon law for an important determination, especially a decree issued by the Pope, now referred to as an apostolic constitution. So this is the historical background of our Indian Constitution, that how it was formed, when it was enacted, how the assembly people took the decision, who is the father of our constitution. So let us move towards the next one. Now we'll start with the features of our Indian Constitution. What is the characteristic? What are the characteristics of our Indian Constitution? There are certain features. That's why our Indian Constitution is different from other countries' constitution. So let us start. First, every written constitution in the world has its own unique characteristics. Yes, every constitution of any country has their own features and characteristics, and no exceptions in the Indian constitutions. But the Indian constitution has many prominent features. Yes, our Indian constitution has many features which we will discuss here, that distinguishes it from the other constitution, that why it is different from other countries' constitution. So let us start with the first one, world's longest constitution. As I have already told you that our Indian constitution is the lengthiest constitution in the world. The Indian constitution contains 395 articles, 12 schedules, making it the world's longest written constitution. Just compare it with other countries' constitution. For example, we can compare it with the other countries, but our Indian constitution is the lengthiest one. For example, the UK has no written constitution, while the US constitution contains only 7 articles, but we have 395 articles and many schedules, and we have so many amendments in our constitution. So these amendments also come in our constitution. Now, our constitution is taken from various sources. Our Indian constitution has various sources. The Indian constitution was framed from multiple sources, including the 1935 Government of India, 1935 Government of India Act, the other countries' constitution. Here we can see we have features of Indian constitution. It is borrowed from the Government of India Act 1935. Here we talk about basic structure, federal scheme, judiciary governors, emergency powers, that are from our Indian Act 1935. Fundamental rights has been taken from the source American Constitution. Our Indian Constitution, they have fundamental rights, and it has been derived from American Constitution. The source is American Constitution. Directive principles, the source is Irish Constitution. Cabinet form of government, the source is British Constitution. Now it has federal system with unitary features. Federal system with the unitary, the Indian constitution includes all the federal characteristics of the governance, such as dual government system. Here in our India we have the federal system, like we have the two government, central and state government. The division of powers between the three states organs, executive, judiciary and legislative. Constitution supremacy, independent judiciary and bicameralism, lower and upper house. Here we are talking about lower and upper house, that is lower house is Lok Sabha and upper house is Rajya Sabha. While describing India as a union of states, the constitution provides for a federal structure. With a unitary spirit, scholars describe India as a Kasi federation, or as a federation with unitary bias, or even as a Unitarian federation. The mixture of federalism and Unitarianism has done, keeping in view both the pluralistic nature of society and the presence of regional diversities, as well as due to the need of securing unity and integrity of the nation. So this is the second feature of federal system of our constitution. Now here we will discuss the parliamentary form of government. Our Indian constitution states that it has a parliamentary form of government, where India has. Now here we start with the democratic parliamentary form of government. A parliamentary system or a parliamentary democracy is a system of democratic governance of a state where the executive derives its democratic legitimacy from the ability to command the confidence of the legislature, typically a parliament, and is also held accountable to the parliament of our India. Parliamentary system of government means the executive branch of government has the direct or indirect support of the parliament. This support is usually shown by a vote of confidence. A balanced relationship between the executive and the legislature in a parliamentary system is called as responsible government. When there must be balance between the executive and a legislative, there is called a responsible government. So, executive are members of the legislature. Yes, collective responsibility to the legislature of the Council of Ministers. Rule of the majority party. Prime Minister or Chief Minister's leadership in the state. Prime Minister or Chief Minister. Lower House dissolution, Lok Sabha and state assemblies. Government form of the cabinet. The democratic system of our government can be divided into the parliamentary and the presidential system. And it is based on what? The relationship between the executive and legislative. In a parliamentary system, executive is a part of legislature which implements as the law and plays an active role in framing it as well. So, we have parliamentary form of government. Let us move towards the next feature of our Indian Constitution. That is, it is a mixture of rigidity and flexibility. Yes, our Indian Constitution is flexible and rigid both because we have so many amendments. That's why it is flexible, but some amendments cannot be taken into the consideration. That's why it is rigid. The Constitution of India is the rigid in parts. Some of its provisions can be amended in a difficult way, while others can be amended very easily. Yes, I have already told you that some laws or rules or regulations cannot be changed, cannot be amended until unless we have the emergency. In some cases, the Union Parliament can amend some parts of the Constitution by passing a simple law. Now, the next feature, right to constitutional remedies. This fundamental right is the soul of the entire Bill of Rights. It provides for the enforcement and protection of our fundamental rights. By the courts, it empowers the Supreme Court and High Courts to issue writs for the enforcement of these rights. Right to constitutional remedies are meant to protect our Indian fundamental rights. Right to constitutional remedies empowers the citizens to move to a court of law in case of any denial of the fundamental rights or in case of violation of any fundamental rights. The right to constitutional remedies is considered to be the most important fundamental right because it ensures the protection of our fundamental rights, which are very necessary for one to live in a society with integrity, with due respect, with freedom. It helps the citizen in moving court in case of violation of any fundamental rights. Now, the next feature. Another feature of the Constitution is that it provides for universal adult suffrage. All men and women enjoy an equal rights to vote. Yes, our Indian Constitution gives us freedom to vote, to cast your vote, to select any government. Each adult man and woman above the age of 18 years has the right to vote. Yes, our Indian Constitution gave us right to vote after getting into 18 years. All registered voters get the opportunity to vote in elections. Every man and woman get the opportunity to vote when they get the age of 18 years. They got the freedom to vote, to cast their vote, which government they want to be in their city or in a center, so that they can vote by their own choice after getting into the 18 years age. Now, next feature is emergency provisions. Yes, our Indian Constitution has this unique feature that yes, we have emergency provision. The Constitution of India contains special provisions for dealing with the emergencies. when our nation get into emergency period, then there are certain provisions, amendments, and there are certain emergencies provisions which our Indian constitution has, and they are, it recognizes three types of possible emergencies. Yes, we have three emergencies provisions. First, national emergency, that is into article 352. Our article 352 handles the national emergency provision. It has an emergency resulting from war to external aggression, when we have wars, when we have external aggression or not good harmonical relationship with other countries, or threat of external aggressions against India, or from armed rebellion within India or in any its part, or out of any country or out of our India. If we have any aggression or not good terms with other countries, then this national emergency that comes into article 352 that gets into it. Next emergency, constitutional emergency in state, when there is any emergency into a state of India, that comes under the article 356. It is an emergency resulting from the failure of the constitutional machinery in any state or some states. If the President is satisfied based on the report of the government of the concerned state or from the other sources that the government in a state cannot be carried out according to the provisions in the constitution, he or she may declare an emergency in a state. The power is only in the hands of President to get a constitutional emergency in a state, that is based on, or it is in the article 356. A state or of emergency India refers to a period of governance under an altered constitutional setup that can be proclaimed by the President of India when they perceive grave threats to the nation from internal or external sources or from financial situations or crisis. Now here we will talk about the third emergency provision, that is financial emergency, and it comes under the article 360, an emergency resulting from a threat to financial stability of India. Here we are talking about the financial threat to the country. If a president is satisfied in a situation has arisen where the financial stability or credit of India or any part of the territory therefore is threatened, here we are talking about the president, may proclaim or make a declaration of the financial emergency into a state or into a country. During this financial emergency, the president can take over the entire work of the executive, and the governor administer the state in the name of president. The legislative assembly can be dissolved or may remain in suspended during this financial emergency, and it can be only taken by the President of India. The President of India has been empowered to take appropriate steps for dealing with these emergencies. Only President has the right to take step into the provision of emergencies, national emergencies, financial emergencies, or for the state. During the period of an emergency, the powers of the President, actually of the PM, and the Union Council of Ministers Cabinet increases tremendously. President can take all the steps deemed essential for meeting an emergency. Yes, President can take any step during these national emergencies and can suspend the legislative assembly and can take all the powers from the executive assembly as well, executive administrators, governors also. The whole power is in the hand of President of India. Emergency provision is a unique feature of our Indian Constitution because it allows the center to assume wide powers so as to handle special situations, special circumstances. In emergency, the center can take full legislative and executive control of any state. Emergency provision also allows the center to curtail or suspend freedom of the citizens, like during the COVID. So here we are done with this video lecture. So in our next video lecture, I'll cover the uh, three pillars of democracy, which we will discuss: the legislative, executive, and the executive. I hope you all understood the Constitution of India and its unique features. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.